If you're about to start intern year, let me tell you that you're not alone feeling overwhelmed or anxious. Majority of interns at this time feel almost the same way. And every single one of us who has been through that process felt the same way. Now, as someone who has been through the same process and as someone who is now a chief resident, I've had the opportunity to see a lot of interns come, have this feeling, and then mature into becoming fantastic residents. So the purpose of this video is to walk you through what to expect during internship. We'll start from the orientation day, your first day at work, your first week, your first month, your first 3 months, and first 6 months. Then we'll talk about the things that will make you survive in internship, and we'll also talk about the characteristics of interns who actually crush intern year. So let's get to it. First of all, I want to congratulate you on matching, because this is no easy feat. And I'm sure most of you have heard that intern year is bloody. It's crazy. Well, that is slightly true. So let's talk about the first day of orientation. So many things they talk about, from your insurance to your HIPAA rule to navigating the EMR. Basically, orientation day is information overload day. They just bombard you with so many details. Your head begins to hurt. Oh my God. So on your orientation day, just get ready, drink some coffee, go to the hospital, and know that you're not going to remember anything from the orientation day, which is normal. Everybody goes through this and everybody feels the same way. But what you need to do is just show up, come with a positive spirit, smile, get to know people, ask their names, shake hands, and try to start knowing people that you're going to be working with. Now you are done with orientation. The next step is to start work. Now day one depends if you're going to be in the hospital, like the inpatient setting, or you're going to be outside the hospital. People who start outside the hospital, or at least in the outpatient setting, have a lighter rotation and a calmer start. People who start in the inpatient rotation, regardless of what floor, have a tougher experience from the get-go. So if you are doing the ICU or you are on the medical floor, it gets a little bit overwhelming. On day one, it's normal to feel like I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know what is expected of me. That is completely normal. Every single person felt that way. What's required from you is not to know what you're doing actually. You just have to ask the right questions. Questions like, one, what is expected of me? And two, introduce yourself to everybody. Have the nurses know your name and that you're an intern. Have the care manager know your name and you're an intern. Have your senior residents know your name and that you're an intern. Have everybody part of the team know your name and that you're an intern. That helps establish you as someone who understands what a team work is like. So don't go into the hospital thinking about what you have to know. No, just go into the hospital day one thinking about the right questions to ask. And as a chief resident, my understanding of the program expectation of an intern in the first few days is just to ease in. They're not looking for you to come and hit the ground running or start seeing a ton of patients. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking for how you can just come into the program and ease into the program. That's what the program is looking for. When I started as an intern, it was really chaotic because I started on the medical floor. I had a very fantastic senior. She was actually chief resident, and she was the one that helped me and guided me on the things that I needed to do. I was completely clueless, but she helped me. Take advantage of your seniors. Everybody wants to help. The other thing that can help you is having a multicolored pen. Now, I don't personally use a multicolored pen. I use 2 pens, blue, black, and red. But having a multiple color pen is way better. And that's because when you review a patient list or you go through a patient's chart, you want to be able to highlight stuff that are of clinical importance, like abnormal vitals, abnormal lab. You want to annotate them with different pen colors. That will be easy for you to understand something that you need to let your resident know, or let your attendants know. What I personally use is for labs or vitals or anything abnormal, I use the red pen, and then everything else is the black pen. That will help you being organized. Now, speaking to being organized, you need to have a checklist that you want to be able to go through. And what a checklist is what are the things you are expected to know of in every single patient, every single day. That's a checklist. Just keep it simple. For me, it was vitals, CBC, CMP, most recent notes from the primary team and the consultants. You also want to have the most recent plan. You also want to have the most recent imaging. I also had a checklist for blood culture, but not all patients will have blood culture, so sometimes that gets skipped. And lastly, overnight events. Just speaking with the nurse about the events overnight will save you a ton of time. So you have to normalize speaking with the nurse. That's absolutely crucial. Okay, so day one was fantastic, and day one wasn't so bad. Now, you are at the end of the first week. What you begin to feel is like it seems like you are drowning in documentation. It seems like you are lagging behind. You are spending extra 2-3 hours to write your notes. And this is normal. Everybody goes through this. Even attending physicians, even people who have graduated residency, people who are working, still have problems with navigating the EMR. So just relax, breathe. We know it is daunting, and we know that it takes time. And actually, 64% of US physicians complain that the EMR slows them down. So you are not alone. It actually slows you down. That is correct. And one of the problems we have is that most of us will stay late to write our note, which is fair, and sometimes it's unavoidable. What I would advise you is that in the first week, you want to just keep playing with the EMR. Try and get remote access at home. Try and just understand how the EMR is in the first week so that you get very familiar very early. Ask your seniors for dot phrases. Just put in a dot phrase and boom, you get a whole checklist of things that you need. That will speed you up really quickly. And also get a dot phrase for pre-rounding. So what pre-rounding is you go and get get into the hospital, you get early, you look at the chart, and then you go and see the patient before you see your attending. But the thing is, it has to be done really quick, and you have a very small time to review your patient. So what you do is develop a template or ask your seniors for their own template. So my own pre-rounding checklist was the same checklist we talked about: CBC, CMP, vitals, last note, last imaging, last EKG, and talking with the nurses. When you have all this information, you can just go straight to the patient's room. Remember that most of the things you need to help the patient, you can actually find out from just talking with the patient. So do not dwell too much on pre-charting. You want to get all the information you need from the chart and just go straight to the patient. It's not worth spending so much time on your EMR before seeing your patient. So on day 7, we're trying to find out from our seniors what shortcuts can help us get to our goals real quick. Then in your first week, you want to try and leverage your senior. Ask them about what each attending likes, because you want to present to the attending in the way that they like. My experience was I had different types of attendings. Some attendings want you to start from the presenting complaint up until this moment. Some attendings want you to talk about the highlights. Some attendings want you to talk about what's the issue today and how can we deal with it today. So they vary from attending to the attendant. You have to ask your senior, what does this attending want? Now, why is this important? Sometimes if you start presenting from top to bottom, they will cut you halfway through, and that can destabilize your flow and you feel a little bit out of place. Just ask your senior. It will save you so much time and may save you some embarrassment. So we've gone through your first week and it's not as bad as you think, right? People say that intern year is bloody, but it is doable. So now is your first month. You've gone through the last few weeks, and the first month you're feeling okay. After the first month, you begin to feel like, okay, I feel a little bit confident, but I don't know if I'm as smart as my colleagues. The difference between you and another person is not important. What is important is how you are taking your every single day, how you are trying to move from one progress to the other progress. So take it easy on yourself. Everybody seems to be smart. It's good. So that means you are surrounded by smart people. Take advantage of that. Your focus is, how can I get myself from the way I'm feeling to feeling much better about myself, the way I feel, my patient care, my relationship with my colleagues. What do I need to do to change the way I feel? And one of the ways is to have a journal, somewhere you can write one mistake you had and one takeaway and what to improve. Just write it down every week. Every single time you try and reference that journal and try and improve, you will improve so much in so short time. Just try not to fall in the trap of trying to compare yourself with others. Absolutely not. Every single intern has something they struggle with. Intern year is very chaotic for all of us. There is no single person who is immune to the chaos that intern year comes with. So just take it easy on yourself. So day 30, you're doing fantastic. You have a journal. You're writing down your mistakes, you're writing your takeaway notes, you're writing about what you want to do to improve, which is fantastic. Now, the other thing you need is feedback. By the end of day 30, you need to get feedback from a couple of people. But the most important feedback you want to get is from the person you're working with. And you want to try and ask very specific questions. You could ask for feedback, but try and ask specific questions. What are the mistakes I'm making? How can I correct them? And how can I increase my efficiency and my patient care? 4 important questions. Just ask them. And they will give you hints of what to do and how to do it. And lastly, do not joke with your sleep. Let me repeat that. Do not joke with your sleep. Sleep is absolutely crucial. You need to sleep. It helps you recharge. You need brain power. All through intern year is about endurance. It's a marathon. You need to rest. Take your sleep at any point that you can. Just sleep. Very important. Don't joke with sleep. And now you're done with your first month. You are feeling confident. You're feeling okay. Feeling not so bad. You've got good feedback from your seniors. Patients love you. You're communicating with your nurses. Oh my goodness. This is good stuff. So now we are at day 90. If you keep everything from day 1 up until this moment, how you feel right now is you feel confident. But then, this is where the danger is. You shouldn't fall in the trap of abandoning those systems that you've put in place, because that system is what you need throughout the intern year. It's not for 3 months, it's not for 6 months, it's for the entire year. In fact, what you should be doing is refining those systems and personalizing those systems to make you a much faster physician, a much better intern, better in all round. So keep your systems going. But also, the most important thing is that by now, you should try and find meaningful connection outside of work, well, within work and outside of work. And that speaks to your wellness. Like I said, intern year is a marathon. Find a community, your co-interns, your residents, people who you share a lot of things in common with, and have genuine relationships with them. Because the next 3 years is going to be filled with a lot of challenges. You want to build a system, because wellness in residency is very important. A lot of residents, a lot of interns suffer burnouts, and not having a social network only just worsens it. My own personal experience is that by day 90, I had established a lot of friends and colleagues that we will go out when we were off. We'll have hangouts, we'll have chats with people that share the same interests. It's very, very rewarding. By your first 3 months, you begin to feel the stress. So you want to have that in place. That will absolutely help you unwind. It will help you reboot. It will help you feel confident going forward. Very important. So you've crushed your first 3 months. You feel confident. Your wellness is intact. You're sleeping fine. You have a community of friends. Fantastic. Now we move to the first 6 months. And the first 6 months, this is your reputation month. In here, you now have a reputation. And what I want to let you know is that congratulations, you've gotten to this point. You are unstoppable. At this point, your team now have an idea of who you are. You have a reputation. Are you the guy that shows up early? Are you the girl that shows up early? Are you the one that is passionate about your patient? Are you the person who is very meticulous? Are you the person who is very reliable? By 6 months, you now have a reputation. So how I want you to think about it and how I thought about it personally is leading up to the 6 months, you want to guard your integrity jealously. You want to set a reputation for yourself. You want to be cognizant of these things. You want to be dependable. You want to be someone who is compassionate about their patient. And one of the traps that most interns have at this point is that they try to impress attending. You may be tempted to impress your attendings instead of impressing your team. Now, let us take a step back. It is important to impress your attendants. It's very important. But also, you don't want to do that at the cost of your team. You want to impress your attendants, which is good, but also know that your primary purpose in the clinic, in the hospital, in the whatever setting is 1 for the patient and 2 for the team. That will save you so much. But then you need to avoid these 3 things in order to solidify your reputation. Number 1, never let your patients say that they do not understand you. Now, I am an IMG. I grew up in Nigeria and I speak English as my native language, but I still had communication problems. A few of my patients did not understand my accent. So that can be a barrier for people coming from other places of the world with different accents. Even though you speak English wherever you're coming from. I got really great feedback about this. One of the first things you want to do is enunciate your words. Take a deep breath, slow down. Most of us, we tend to speak really fast. So what you do is slow down and try and enunciate your words. Try your best to simplify your communication with your patient. Try and explain things to them very slowly and as if they were a 5-year-old. Communication is very important. Communication is 50% of the job we do. So you have to make sure that your patients understand every single thing you're saying. So what I did was anytime I would go into the room, I will think about the things that I want to ask them. What are the things that are pertinent for this visit? And I will go through it in my head, how to ask those questions in a very plain English. That helped me a lot. In fact, I used that system so much so from my first year through to my 3rd year that I was getting a lot of awards for patient care.
One patient stated that you really listened to her when many physicians had not. As a result, she was finally diagnosed with lupus and no longer in pain. On behalf of all of your patients with lupus and their families, thank you for demonstrating our FACES culture of being friendly, available, caring, efficient, and safe. The blue and the FACES badge really have a couple of gifts.
Because of my communication, you have to be able to communicate with patients. That's very crucial. Number 2, you have to be reliable. You have to be the person for your team. Your team should feel confident. Show up early. You take responsibility for any errors and you try and fix them right away. You take responsibility and you try and fix them. You don't repeat the same mistakes all over again. Number 3 is you have to be comfortable with saying, I don't know. Most of us have the pressure of feeling like we have to know everything. I'm a doctor, I have to know everything. No, you don't. You absolutely do not have to know everything. You should feel comfortable saying, I don't know. And the reason for this is you don't want to come off as someone who's just making up stuff. That hurts your reputation. If you don't know, say, I don't know, but I'm going to look it up. I'm going to find out. You acknowledge that you don't know, and then you have them know that you're going to find out. Don't try and come off as someone who knows everything. Be comfortable with saying, I don't know. It tells us that 1, you're confident. 2, you are aware of your knowledge deficits. And 3, you are truthful. It's great. We need sincere doctors. If you use all these things from day 1 up until this time, you should have a fantastic intern year. And the characteristics of people who crush intern year are 1, people who are dependable. Number 2, people who are able to form relationship easily. Now, if you are able to form relationship with the nurses, with the care managers, with your patients, with your colleagues, your life will be way easier. The difference between internship that is miserable and internship that is doable actually relies so much on how you're able to form relationships. Also, one of the characteristics of people who crush intern year is that they pay so much attention to their wellness. They sleep fine, they go out with their colleagues, they have a nice time when they're not at work. Now, intern year is crazy. But it doesn't have to be. By finding the right people, getting the right network, and getting the right feedback, you should be able to do this. Once again, congratulations. Let me know about your journey and where you are. If you had specific questions about intern year, you could leave it in the chat and comment sections. Wishing you a fantastic intern year experience. Bye.